What's up, boys? NBA playoffs are upon us.
Finally!
Lotus Slate Sports Podcast. We had to come talk to you guys about this shit.
Yeah,
I'm Ashton Rodebeck.
I'm Ryan Chapko.
I'm Jack Norman, guys. We got so much to jump into.
Oh yeah.
So we got our bracket set up back here for the NBA. Playing as actually beginning as we speak too, so we're kind of watching that here out of the corner of our eye. But yeah, we really wanted to give you guys just kind of our initial thoughts, projections. Where we think some of these teams are going to go, and kind of our projections here going forward for the next couple months, really, as we gear up towards the championship here.
Yeah, I have a question for both of you. I want your guys' matchup that you have your eyes on the most from each conference here.
Okay.
I'll state mine first. I think both the 4-5 matchups are going to be pivotal for this playoffs. I like Cleveland, obviously, in New York. That's going to be a fantastic series. And obviously Phoenix, KD versus Kawhi. As you were saying before we started rolling, if Kawhi can really put this team on their back,
because
take it to the bank.
PG's out. I think we got a report a couple days ago saying that PG was going to miss at least the first series here with, I don't know what injury it was exactly, but it seems like every other day there's another injury with the Clippers organization, and it just sucks to see that these guys cannot stay healthy here. But Kawhi's got to put the team on his back. He can do it, but he's got a tall task on his hands with, Booker, CP,
and he's looked
Ayton.
good since his coming back from injury. He's been efficient. He's done everything that, we've seen pre-injury. It's really unfortunate that he got injured, being in the prime that he was at the time. So, I like that Clippers squad. That'd be an interesting matchup. My matchup in the West would probably be Golden State, Sacramento.
It's gonna be a good one.
I think with Wiggins fully back, I think the Warriors are going to win that series.
I agree. I think it's a favorable draw for the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, they have
Wiggins is back at the perfect time.
And against this Sacramento team, which is fairly young and inexperienced in the playoffs, albeit they had a great regular season, but I feel like that's going to be kind of their ceiling. They're going to be a good regular season team. Give me Golden State in that one, too. I agree.
I like Golden State, too, but don't count out, Sacramento. I think his name is Mike Brown, the head coach. Mike Brown, the head coach.
Might be coach of the year
Sacramento.
candidate.
Should definitely be coach of the year candidate. He's from that Warrior system. He knows what they run, so I think he'll have a great game plan ready for his guys to execute. And this Sacramento team, they got some firepower on offense. One of the top offensive teams in the league, really. I don't know. Yeah, I like what you were saying. The Clippers, Suns. That's kind of the first round series that I got my eyes on from the West, at least. Suns arguably the number one team really in the league with all the firepower they got, and then the Clippers team that I've been high on for like 3 years running now. And I don't know, from the East, I got my eye on that Cleveland game, that New York Cleveland series. That's going to be nice too.
Because Randall's had a very good year for New York, and I think Brunson's quietly had a really good season as well.
Definitely.
I'm a big fan of this Cleveland team, and I think they have potential to make the Eastern Conference Finals. D. Mitch is playing probably the best ball of his career with Cleveland.
I gotta say, I think these are two of the surprise teams in that field that came out this season. The Knicks and the Cavs. That's what's going to make it such an interesting series. All these other teams are kind of expected. You know what I mean? All the other
both Cleveland and New York missed the playoffs last year too, and they're facing each other in the first round. Is the 4 and the 5 seed? That's something. I wouldn't have predicted that.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a series. That's why I have that one circled. Obviously, Philly and Brooklyn's going to be a great series too. So, I don't really know.
That's another interesting series I wanted to touch on because Mikal Bridges, this guy's been hooping since the trade from the Suns. I think a couple 30-point games. I saw a crazy stat that Cam Thomas had more 40-point games than KD and Kyrie did in his time as a Brooklyn Net, which is kind of weird to think about, but it is what it is. We'll see Cam Thomas here in the playoffs here. We'll see if he can keep his hot streak rolling here with Philly, who is...
And the Nets got Claxton. He's a pretty good defensive big. I think he matches up well with Embiid, more than anybody. Embiid's been unguardable all year.
Right.
I think Embiid should have been the MVP candidate, the front runner, but who knows? I think Philly's going to win that series.
I do too.
So,
yeah.
Harden's still playing good ball. I don't know why people think he's washed. I just think really he just took on a new role with Philly. Just being more of a playmaker, not really being like Houston days, like taking all the shots, initiating all the offense. But
clearly it's enough to land him the 3 seed in the East, which is, certainly a great accomplishment. I wanted to see what both of you guys thought about each of the 1 seeds. Denver and Milwaukee. What any positives or negatives, drawbacks?
Honestly, I think Milwaukee should be the front runner out of the East. You really got to examine probably the Celtics as well. I mean, they're both really on par with each other. But I think if Milwaukee's fully healthy with healthy Drew, healthy Chris Middleton, and healthy Giannis, it's really hard to beat. And Brook Lopez, I mean, it's really hard to beat that team because they've been together for so many years. They've been such a formidable group.
Yeah, definitely the Milwaukee Bucks have that championship pedigree. I know they won that chip a few years ago, and it feels like finally everyone's finally getting healthy at the right time there with Middleton finally getting back from his injury. And
I mean,
Giannis
he's had injuries this season.
Exactly. Giannis continuing to do what he does best. And
right.
They're going to be a dangerous team to watch. I like them to at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know. I think maybe Cleveland with their size, with Jarrett Allen, Mobley, and those guys, they could
match up well.
They could match up well with the Bucks, but I don't know. I just like Milwaukee at least to get to the conference finals here. They're just rolling.
I mean, I don't know if we want to do this in form of a bracket, like take our picks for each matchup.
I mean, we can.
We can discuss that.
We can.
Yeah,
do you want to just kind of start with?
Sure. Yeah.
We can start with the play-in, because that's kind of going on tonight here. Like, we'll start with. Let's start with the 8-9 or the 8. What is that? Is that 8-10?
9 and 10.
9 and 10 matchups. Yeah. So.
Start with the West.
Yeah, we'll start with the West here. So New Orleans and OKC. Oklahoma City is in the playoffs with all their young talent. Shea, I think he was posting some stuff on social media about like the probability of them only winning like 20 games or something like that before the season.
Now
turn around and win 40 games.
I mean, I think it's really just a testament to what Sam Presti builds there. I mean, Jalen Williams has had a phenomenal rookie season. I mean, without Chet, even.
Exactly,
so, I mean,
they don't even have Chet.
I mean, they got Shea, they got Giddey. They got a lot of good young talent on that roster, and it's a very young team. So, I mean, in next coming years, they're going to be a really deep team that could be deep in the playoffs for sure with that talent.
Yeah, definitely. And they could be potentially an attractive destination for free agents in the
I think it's just the beginning, honestly. And I think they could make a huge splash.
Exactly. They have the assets to make trades too, because they have like a million first-round picks from the PG trades and the Russ trades from a couple seasons back, and just so many things going right for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Sam Presti is executing this rebuild just textbook, and it's great to see. And they're in the play-in against a Pelicans team on the other side of the aisle who has a ton of talent themselves too. With Zion, he's injured. We'll talk about that a little bit.
They've had a bad string of injury luck lately.
BI
Zion,
too. McCollum, he's kind of coming into his own too. They got an underrated squad. Trey Murphy off the bench, Alvarado, those guys too.
BI really just single-handedly carrying them to this play-in spot. BI. It's just unfortunate when your franchise player, the one player you drafted number 1 overall. He's been injured for most of his career, and he's not really played that many career games. He's dominant when he plays. He really has potential to be one of the main players in the league if he can fully stay healthy. But I think this Pelicans team has a lot of good young talent. I do think, I don't know if it'll warrant a play-in spot or next round, but I don't know. I like this Pelicans team. I just don't think they just had the good end of the stick.
Yeah, they just had some tough injuries. But, I don't know. I like New Orleans in this play-in game here. I like them to get this one done. I think OKC is going to put up a bit of a fight here. But I just think the Pelicans, they have more experience on their team. They're just a deeper team overall.
I'm just going to ride the hot hand, man. I think OKC and Shea.
I think OKC.
I think OKC and Shea are going to win this game, man. I think it's going to be a statement. For that organization, obviously, like you guys mentioned, they're without Chet Holmgren, who's going to be a huge piece of that team for the coming years. So if they can win a play-in series rather, without him, I think their ceiling is limitless with him. So give me OKC. I like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in this series.
Definitely.
You agree?
Definitely.
All right, we can move down to the 7 and 8. Is that what it is?
The 7 and 8. The Lakers in Minnesota. Minnesota without Rudy Gobert, one of their main defensive pieces on the roster. Lakers being the hot hand since really the trade deadline, having a very good trade deadline. So I'm very interested to see how this matchup plays out. I love Anthony Edwards. He's one of the bright young stars in the league that found himself in a very unfortunate situation with Cat being injured most of the time, and them making a really weird trade in the offseason for Rudy Gobert. But I don't know.
They backed the Brinks truck up.
Give me the Lakers in this matchup. I want to ride the hot. If the Lakers can really get this squad healthy and have a healthy old LeBron, but like a really just healthy AD for this whole playoff stretch, I think they could play with anybody. I really do think they could.
I agree. I think that the Lakers have been mending together very well as the season comes to an end here. Just all the pieces that they've acquired are kind of finally,
I thought D'Lo was a good pickup. I was like, D'Lo was a very good third option type pickup.
Everybody's kind of gelling, and as you mentioned, I mean, it's just a matter of riding the hot hand once we get into the early playoff rounds. And I'm going to take the Lakers as well in this series, especially with Rudy Gobert not being present for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Definitely, give me the Lakers too. I mean, they got all the guys finally coming together. Everyone's finally getting healthy too. AD, he's getting healthy. LeBron's still doing his thing at an old age too, and no Gobert, like you were saying. The NBA has to find a way to get the Lakers in this playoff somehow. So
that's true. It's also we got the script leaked, so
exactly.
Yeah,
so the Lakers will be there.
I think it's really unfortunate that the T-Wolves find themselves in this situation because last year in the playoffs, weren't they known for notoriously just choking those leads to Memphis? I mean, they come out high. I mean, Ant looks like that player that could be a top 15 player in this league, top 10. I mean, he has that potential. But I mean, I just think I'm interested to see what direction they go in. I didn't mind the Mike Conley pickup, and I think his leadership could help tonight for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like those matchups for the play-in on the West are a lot easier to pick than the ones on the East here.
100%.
I feel like these teams are just very close in the East once we get to the play-in. Those 4 seeds there that play. Do you guys have any thoughts on Toronto and Chicago?
I mean, I don't know. It's just an even.
I think two teams that...
two very even matchups here.
Teams that, I mean, maybe they consider them underachieving this year. I mean, I know the Bulls, I mean, having DeMar and Levine, I mean, you expect to be in a playoff spot. I mean,
to be there. For Toronto, though,
they're going to have to definitely reevaluate. But, I mean, for Toronto,
they kind of found a way to limp into this playoff.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of in the back door.
I mean, Jakob Poeltl was definitely a good pickup for Toronto, and I think he could help them. I mean, tonight or whenever they play. But I like Scotty Barnes. I like what they have. So, I mean, I'm going to take Toronto here. I mean, I think the wings that they have, and I mean, Van Vliet's still a plus player in this league. I mean, and Pascal Siakam, probably playing the best ball of his career. I mean, give me Toronto.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not as high on the Toronto team as I am Chicago. I feel like they got more talent on that squad. And for that reason, pretty much alone at this point, I'm taking Chicago here. Like you mentioned, DeMar and Zach LaVine. It's a deadly combo when they're hitting.
The thing is, LaVine can definitely get hot at the right time. I mean, he's very efficient. I mean...
Yeah, I like what you were saying. Definitely about the Bulls. I mean, they got Levine, DeMar. I don't know what Lonzo's status is, but if he can get healthy, I know Caruso is finally getting healthy too. And I think this Bulls team, they got that slight experience edge. I mean, DeMar and Levine and those guys. I mean,
when they picked up Vucevic, I think they
and Vucevic too.
I was gonna say when they picked up Vucevic, they thought he was gonna be that player he was in Orlando. You know what I mean? So I mean.
I don't know, maybe the Bulls kind of regret giving up Wendell for Vucevic like that because Wendell's kind of doing his thing down in Orlando right now. And
for sure.
I don't know, they're kind of probably not too happy with what they've seen.
But that's definitely it's definitely a hard one to pick because I think these two teams, I mean, like even matchups. So, but I could see that one playing out
either way. Either way.
But the game that's going on right now, Miami and Atlanta.
The score of that one.
The score, man. Hold on, let me get up in here.
Two teams. I mean. Atlanta a couple years ago, I mean, Trey got hurt at the wrong time. I mean, they were looking to make the NBA Finals at one point. I mean, Trey was fully healthy for that run. So, it's a team that definitely hasn't really built on their roster as much as they could have or capitalized off that run as much as they could have in terms of, like, bringing in talent. But I really like this Atlanta squad, and I think if Trey could get healthy and DeJounte Murray could be what they brought him in to be. I mean, I really like this Hawks squad because DeJounte Murray's a very good defensive guard.
I agree. I mean, I kind of was yet to be swayed on a pick for this game, and I don't know, man. Just DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, I feel like when they do their thing, they're very good playmakers. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think Atlanta, obviously they've had some history in the playoffs that damn near pushed to the NBA Finals just a few years ago, but Miami Heat are kind of in the same boat, so that's what makes this an interesting series.
I wonder if they lose this game that Jimmy's going to get disgruntled with the situation in Miami.
Yeah, it seems like every season the Miami Heat are here, and they never make any moves in the offseason to make their roster better.
They could. Like, I mean, they could. They definitely still could make the splash. I mean, I think they'd be very interested in like a player like Kyrie, like Damian, like Lillard.
It seems like the Heat have had the same core of dudes for the last since like the bubble. Really, it seems like they never bring anyone in splashy. Like you hear about them maybe trading Tyler Hero every year, and they never do. And Jimmy Butler's always good enough to get them where they need to go, but they're just not a championship caliber roster. And I mean they're in the play-in this year. And I don't know. I like Miami or the Atlanta Hawks ceiling really. I think they got a ton of talent and just a deep bench. In
a core that's been together for quite a few years as well.
I mean, with John Collins, Capella, Trae Young and those
DeAndre
guys,
Hunter,
and finally getting DeJounte Murray, kind of that missing piece for them. I think the Atlanta Hawks are going to get through the Miami Heat here.
I think they're flying under
advance
the
to the
radar.
playoffs.
Flying under the radar for sure.
A little bit. What will they be? The 7th seed in the East or the 8th?
Yeah, that's the 8-9 match.
Okay.
I mean,
they'll play
having
the winner.
they'll play the Boston Celtics.
I think
Okay.
they've been playing better ball since Quinn Snyder's been coach. So.
Oh, I forgot they hired Quinn. Shout out Quinn Snyder, man. We wanted him in Detroit. But
sure.
yeah, they got a good coach down there too. So I like the Hawks here to advance and play the Boston Celtics.
I mean, that wraps up the play-in here. We can start from the top of the Western Conference here. Denver versus the winner of New Orleans and OKC. We were split on that one, so we'll just, either way, I got Denver winning, no matter who they play.
Denver.
I mean,
don't think it really matters.
I think this is Denver's year if they want to make their
If they
run to the title. I mean, I think
it's
the
gotta
West,
happen
the
this
West
year.
has been so indecisive this year. I mean, we don't really have a good read on it right now. I mean, but if you can keep Jamal Murray, your whole core, and Jokic, I mean, I think this Nuggets team has every bit of being a Western Conference Finals team this year at least. I mean,
If there's a year for the Nuggets to go and win this title, it's this year. I mean, the West feels like it's kind of shaping up well for them. I mean, they're the number 1 overall seed here. I mean,
and is Jokic going to get back to back to back? I mean,
potentially going to three-peat the MVP.
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I mean, I think the thing about Jokic is he's a really good playoff performer, and I think that agenda is just weird. I mean, Jokic has definitely been one of the most dominant players in the league for a minute.
we got to remember the last time Jamal and Nikola Jokic were playing together in the playoffs was that bubble year when they went to the conference finals.
Jamal was hooping.
It was, and I mean, if he can get back to that level, look out, man.
For sure.
We want to go over to the other East side, 1 and 8, or do we want to go conference by conference?
Yeah, we can just move to the other one and 8. Yeah, sure.
So we said Milwaukee.
Milwaukee,
and then we were split on that as well. I mean, two.
I don't care though. I still think the
Milwaukee's-
Bucks, and they still think we can.
Like I
we
said,
can count it. Does anyone know? When was the last time an 8-1? Was it like Golden State, the We Believe team, way back
A
when?
long time ago.
Because I feel like it never happens. We don't really get upsets like that. It seems like in the NBA playoffs, it doesn't seem like that often, at least.
I mean,
I don't think that these 8 seeds are equipped to beat these 1 seeds. I think Milwaukee and Denver are championship caliber teams. They're gonna advance here, guys.
And like I said about the Bucks,
we can
earlier,
call it a day there.
like what Jack said about Milwaukee earlier. I mean, they're getting healthy at the perfect time. I mean, Milwaukee being one of the most consistent teams of the last 5-6 years.
Definitely.
I mean,
they're a great regular season team. I mean, they've had playoff success.
like
too,
the
obviously, with their
pedigree,
title.
Giannis being one of the best players in the league. I just think it's too much for these two respective teams.
Oh, I agree.
All due respect.
Without a doubt,
Definitely.
Giannis and
Wanna
the
go
Bucks
to
are advancing.
Yeah.
Go back to the West.
You want to go to the 2-7s now? Work our way, kind of like
We could just do
Inverse?
yes, perfect.
2-7. We can go
Okay.
Memphis and the winner of the
Lakers.
We all took the Lakers.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
so we got.
Oh,
We all
man.
took the Lakers, so let's say
Oh,
Memphis
God.
Lakers in this.
Ooh, that is a spicy matchup right there.
I like what Memphis has got this year because I mean Jaren Jackson, he's a defensive player of the year candidate. I mean
That is
John
a spicy matchup. That might be my matchup to watch in the first round, low key. Lakers and Memphis, because there'll just be so much talking from both sides, man.
I mean especially Dylan Brooks.
And Ja too. I know Ja, if he's playing, who knows? But I don't know. I honestly could see the Lakers with their experience winning that game.
I think the Lakers might win that series.
I like Memphis,
man. I think the Lakers could just sun.
I think a player that flies under the radar in that type of series is Desmond Bane. Like I feel like that's what the Lakers are missing, like a guy that can get buckets from the perimeter. I mean,
they got D'Lo.
I mean, D'Lo's inconsistent at times, I'd say, but I mean, with this Memphis squad, I mean, a team that's definitely still on the upswing. I mean, Jaren Jackson, when healthy, is one of the best defensive players in the league. Taylor Jenkins is a pretty solid coach. I mean, what he's got going on there, but I mean, Memphis and the Lakers, like we said.
I don't know. The Lakers are just a different animal.
Darvin Ham being a first-year coach, I mean, like I said, if that Lakers squad just stays healthy, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for them. Like I said, because that's what their problem was these past couple years, because AD was in and out of the lineup. You know, Rob Pelinka couldn't really facilitate anything. Like,
I mean, the Lakers are a different animal here. You're playing against LeBron, AD. I don't know if Memphis really do they have anyone to check LeBron? Do they have anyone that can guard LeBron? I don't know.
That's the answer.
I don't know.
I mean, Jaren would be on AD.
Jaren would be on AD.
Who's going to guard LeBron? I think LeBron might just go
for 50
every game.
Who's gonna guard Ja?
That's a good point. I mean, I don't got anyone to guard Ja, too.
It just, I don't know,
On the flip
man.
side.
Let's just think narrative-wise. Do we really think the NBA would let this happen, bro? Like we mentioned before, it's a clear path for LeBron here.
No, the NBA wants this to happen. They want the Lakers in the title.
You think they want Memphis to beat the Lakers? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, they want the Lakers to win this whole thing.
That's my point. I think the Lakers.
I think it's
series.
setting up a little too well for the Lakers, really. And I think I would take the Lakers in this game. I think LeBron, AD, and the new acquisition of D'Lo can get the Lakers over the hump here over Memphis.
I agree.
I would agree as well. I mean, first year Coach Darvingham getting the job done versus Memphis. So
Man, that's going to be a good matchup, though. I would not suggest missing
and a potentially dangerous matchup next. That's very intriguing as well. We'll touch on that.
We'll touch on that later.
Yeah, that's gonna be damn. Okay, so Boston and Atlanta, right?
Yeah, so that's
we
what
all took Atlanta.
Did they play last year? I think they may have played last year in the first round too. So a little bit of a rematch here.
I think this series could go to 6. I mean, I think the Hawks have
I think they have a
power
chance
to win a
push
couple
to
games.
win a couple games. I don't know. I think Boston's got the depth.
Mm-hmm.
They got
And
Brogdon.
if Robert Williams is healthy, I mean, it unlocks a new level to the Celtics team. I mean,
And he was awesome last year in the playoffs too. He was dominant, really.
and Brogdon was a great pickup as well. So I mean,
And they got Gallo too.
Yeah.
Celtics got revenge on their mind definitely this year.
So
Oh, for
we'll
sure.
see how they
Oh, for
they
sure.
do. I don't know. I'm pretty high in the Celtics, so I like the Celtics winning this series.
Me too, absolutely. They might be favorite to win the whole thing.
I know.
So.
I like the Celtics. They were red hot earlier in the year too. They've kind of cooled off a bit, but they still got the pieces to win this thing.
100%.
Hop into the 3-6 matchup in the West. Here we got Sac and Golden State. We mentioned a little bit about this game earlier
Sac
before we
is-
went through them.
Sac is really the 3 seed, man.
It's crazy.
Sac Town back in the playoffs.
Testament to the Sabonis trade last year. He's been very, very solid for the Kings, and De'Aaron Fox being one of the more slept-on stars in the league, and a first-year head coach. I mean,
Mike Brown.
congrats to the Kings after a 16-year drought.
It was longer
for
than
the
that. It was
playoffs.
probably like 17 or 18 years.
But I mean, like what we touched on earlier, Andrew Wiggins being back after a long stint of being out. I like Golden State in this series. I mean, we don't really have to touch on the Warriors too much. I mean,
They are
Steve
what
Kerr,
they are. They're
yeah.
a championship roster.
I mean, Curry, when healthy, is a top 3 player in the league for sure.
Exactly. They're the defending champs for a reason.
So-
Their resume speaks for themselves, and they're also another team that's getting healthy at the right
And
time.
I think this is a series that can go to 7 legit. I think this is a series that could go 6-7. It's going to be a very good series. They're going to be close games. So I'm very interested to see what young players are going to step up for the Warriors as well. Because I mean, I feel like they haven't broken out as much as they would like to.
I could see this series going 7, or I could see the Warriors wrapping this thing up in like 5 games.
I could see that.
I
I could
honestly
see it
think
go
that
that
might
way.
be more likely.
I think it'd be more likely too that the Warriors wrap this thing up in like 5 games. Because let's remember last year the Warriors were killing everybody all their way to the final. They didn't even let a series get to 7 games.
Also, even if they weren't really performing up to their standard this year,
and they haven't been healthy all season too.
Yes,
like
I mean-
Clay missed time, Curry missed time, Wiggins has been out the whole season pretty much.
Clay's been kind of flying under the radar. I mean, he's been getting buckets a few games, being very efficient as well. I mean, looking like what he was before those couple years of injuries. I mean, you just never could really count out the Warriors. You know what I mean?
I'm not counting out the Warriors.
The system they have built in place. So, very interesting matchup as well. The next matchup in the East, we got Philly.
Whoa! Who do we got in this first round in this Golden State Sac series?
We already
We
mentioned
got
this
Golden
before we
State.
rolled. I think we all had Golden
No,
State.
yeah, we got Golden State.
Yeah,
You're right. You're
we're
right.
taking the
You're
Warriors
right.
here. Philly, Brooklyn. That's a very interesting series for me. Obviously, we mentioned previously that Cam Thomas and all those guys in Brooklyn have been balling ever since the trade.
A very fun retooling team, and with an emerging star in Mikal Bridges that's definitely had a.
Bro.
Tell him we're on the air. We can shout him out real quick. Yo, Ralph, say what up.
Oh, fuck. God damn it. I was about to answer, too.
But, I mean, the Nets squad's definitely fun. I mean, with Jacques Vaughn. I mean, Coach, they definitely gave an extension, too. But it's going to be a fun matchup. But, I mean, you know how we feel about Doc Rivers in the playoffs. We were always skeptical. But, I mean, Embiid being the player that he was this year, give me Philly for sure.
Definitely.
Take it, Philly.
Give me Philly. You never can be too sure with Doc Rivers though in these playoff series, but I think Philly has a little more firepower than the Nets.
And I think if Philly wants to make a deep run this year, they need
gotta start off.
They need a player like Maxey to play his best ball.
And Harden. They need Harden to step up too.
I think I agree here. I don't know, man. It's either way, the winner of this game is going to run into a freight train in Boston Celtics. So
I mean, it wasn't a bad year by Brooklyn with everything's considered, like losing 2 stars, like really retooling your whole roster, getting the picks back that you lost in those deals.
They really salvaged something that was kind of a lost season at that point. I mean, the superstar stuff just wasn't working out for him.
Steve Nash wasn't working out either.
Right, the coach.
Does anyone know if Ben Simmons is playing?
No, he's out. I mean,
oh God. Well, they're fucked. They're not going to win.
I mean, that gamble really hasn't worked out as well, but.
It sucks, man. I want to see that franchise see some success. But
I do too, but man,
come on,
it really sucks with the Nets.
Nothing can work out for them, but give me Philly in that series as well. I like Embiid, like you mentioned earlier. I think Embiid should be front runner for the MVP
100%.
Once again. So, yeah. So we all got Philly in that series. We'll move over to the 4-5, which was
this was the matchup of the watch.
Oh,
this was our first round matchup to watch here. Lakers and Phoenix, or Clippers and Phoenix rather. Jack, I feel
want me to take this one first?
Yeah, I feel like you got some personal
They don't got
feelings.
playoff Reggie, bro. They can't do it.
I mean,
Jack.
that's a good point. They do not have Action Jackson. I mean,
he was detrimental to that Eastern Conference run.
He was instrumental to that Western Conference run a couple seasons ago. But I don't know. I think for the Clippers here, it's really going to be tough not having PG. I think the Clippers have a couple guys that can maybe step up for PG. Norman Powell being another guy. Russ has been playing okay. He's been playing all right.
I mean, you can't replicate PG, one of the most slept-on scorers in the league.
I also think that the Suns have a couple of guys on their roster, KD being one, that they've been struggling in these playoffs lately, man. These lights have been getting kind of bright for a couple of these guys, and I think Kawhi is another guy who he thrives under these conditions like this. So I could see a scenario where the Clippers pull this thing out in like 6 or 7 games. I could also see a scenario where the Suns pull this thing out. But with the homer in me, I'm gonna pick the Clippers to get this thing done in like 7 games. I think this is going to be a back and forth series.
I agree, man. This is going to be an absolute grudge match. This has 7 games written all over it, man. That's all I'm saying.
It does have 7. This is going to be a 4-round fight.
I'm going to agree with you, man. I think I still have faith that Kawhi is still his Toronto Raptors self here.
I think he's there somewhere.
I think that he's
the
second coming of Christ himself, and he's going to win this series for the Clippers. Book it, take it to the bank. What do you have to say?
I'd say what really been struggling to happen was Katie's health these past couple of years. I mean, I think that's really the deciding factor in this, because they said, I think I read a stat the other day, like when healthy, when Katie and Booker playing, they're 7-0. Like they're a really built squad, and I think the odd man out that doesn't really get thrown into the mentions is DeAndre Ayton. I definitely
he's flying under the radar.
Because I think DeAndre Ayton's definitely a better big guy than what Zubac is. I mean, no disrespect to Zubac, he's definitely a decent big guy, but I just think the Suns, if fully healthy, they have the firepower, and I think they have the momentum right here.
All right,
it's gonna be 7 games.
I mean, people are forgetting that Devin Booker's like the second best player on his team now, and he's averaging almost 30 a game this year. I mean, they're ready. I mean, this is. I mean, Ashiba planted the flag, God willing, but I mean, Chris Paul's got to play good as well. I mean, they paid him a ridiculous contract for his age, so it's gonna be interesting to see how Phoenix unfolds, because they're on a window just like the Nets were. I mean, like, you got to win, and you got to have a couple of years to really lock in.
On our final matchup here, 4-5 on the other side. We also spoke on this game a little bit. Cleveland and New York. Who do y'all have, man? I'm taking the Cavs here.
Cavs, I like the Cavs with Mitch,
the Cavs.
Mobley, Jared Allen.
Sexy ass team.
I like the Cavs as well. I mean, Garland, he needs to stay healthy, but with like D-Mitch, like what you said, like playing the best ball of his career. I mean, what a phenomenal acquisition it was for GB Bickerstaff and co in Cleveland. I mean, really finding an identity outside of LeBron this year. I mean, getting Mobley
and bringing in
D-Mitch
too. That was a huge acquisition too, making a big splash move.
It's been really interesting to see how Cleveland's been working that 2 big lineup that they got going down there. I mean, such a lot of length, a lot of defense that they could really match up with the best in the East. Like you said, like Celtics and the Bucks, I think they could definitely match up with those top teams.
Yeah, I think
if they catch fire.
The Cleveland Cavaliers could potentially cause some issues for the Bucks with their size. But I don't know. I think in some of these series, I think the home advantage will play a factor. I think this Cleveland-New York series, with Cleveland having the slight edge here with the home court advantage in that Game 7, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers get this
I don't
done.
think the Knicks should be slept on, though, because I think the Knicks are kind of flying under the radar. I mean, this is one of the best years they've had in a long time.
That's true. Jalen Brunson's
I mean, Brunson's
the Garden's going to be...
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be rocking.
I could definitely envision this series going 6 or 7.
It's going to be awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
With the years that the Knicks been having. I mean, Tom Thibodeau, I think you like
Tibbs.
Tom Thibodeau. I mean,
he's
a
all right.
defensive coach, but...
Yeah,
like I said,
he fits the culture.
I like Cleveland. I like what they got built.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I think we got to save the the second round.
Yeah, we'll
and
save
on
that
picks
because we're gonna have a lot of time to
I
talk
mean,
about that with these 7-game
right.
series. We got like each series is like a week. It seems like
Dude,
long, maybe long.
I mean,
probably 2 weeks really.
Yeah, we'll be recapping all these games.
And the series, like we're gonna be having coverage all.
Oh yeah,
lottery's coming up as well.
Lottery, drafts coming up.
Yes.
NFL drafts coming up as well too. So we'll have non-stop coverage of that coming
Do we
up.
want to touch on the coaching a little bit?
Oh, for sure. For NBA, since we're touching
Yeah.
on the NBA, a couple of organizations made some coaching moves recently with their seasons ending. The 2 bottom feeders in the NBA, the Detroit Pistons
and the Houston
and
Rockets.
the Houston Rockets, both have parted ways with their coaches.
I think it's very funny because I read a tweet where the Houston Rockets fired their coach before the game even ended. I mean, that's so.
That's where we are.
That's so disrespectful. But I mean, the Houston situation. I mean, it's a very intriguing one. They got a lot of good young players. I mean, you got Jalen Green, you got Sengun, you got Kevin Porter Jr., Jabari Smith, and top 3 odds at the number 1 pick. I mean, if you could get the luck rolling here, I mean, such a good young core for a young coach to look at. I mean, I definitely think they said like Udoka's probably going to be the favorite there.
I think they're interviewing Kenny Atkinson today.
Kenny Atkinson as well. The Warriors gave permission for that as well. So,
and it's definitely an interesting roster for a coach.
A lot of good young
something
talent
too. Yeah, and you got a lot to build around too. I mean, they're not like talent void by any means, but they also aren't like a well-rounded team by any means. I think they kind of need a coach to build around.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like these bottom feeders searching for coaches is kind of just a big race for Ime Udoka. I mean,
it depends. Like what organization,
highest bidder, like
what organization wants to bring on his baggage too? That kind of like the stuff that went on with the Celtics too, which is foolishness,
right?
Which is absolutely ridiculous, but. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and we're not going to speak on that at all, but I think it's kind of...
It's ridiculous.
It's dumb that's even really a scandal of sorts. I think he's fine. He's a hell of a basketball coach.
Is.
I don't know if there's really any character issues other than, what has transpired.
That's ridiculous.
Right, exactly.
It's foolishness. I don't care what happens. I mean, if you can coach basketball, I need you to coach basketball on the court. I don't care what you do in your free time.
Exactly.
Do what you got to do. Let's win games. Mm-hmm. And then the Pistons too. We want to talk about them a little bit too.
Casey stepping down after the blowout loss of the Bulls. I mean, very surprising because I thought it was gonna come out like a week after, and I thought there was a real shot they would giving them a fair shake next year with the healthy roster and the new pick. But I think it's a mutual parting that was deserved. I think it was best for both parties.
I think more surprising is they moved him to a front office role. Does anyone know? Does anyone know what the F he's going to be doing? Handing out orange slices?
I think it's more of like an advisor role.
God, I don't know who he should not be advising anything about the basketball team.
I agree. I mean, it's kind of tough. I mean,
I think he got dealt a very bad hand. I mean, he was brought in for a playoff team. His impression was coming in to coach a playoff team to further in the playoffs. So, I mean, he embraced the rebuild. I mean, I think you'll see the young players' development, especially Ivy towards the end of the year and Duran. I mean, that's really what the season was about after Cade was out. So, I definitely think it's an intriguing job for a young coach, especially if they get lottery luck this year and get a top 3 pick. So, more like, I mean, to me, it's Udoka or Charles Lee, a good assistant from the Bucks. He comes from a good organization.
What about Kevin Ali?
Fuck Kevin Ali.
I heard they were interviewing.
There's a reason why you got fired. It's Dan Hurley's job now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like it's Udoka or bust, to be honest.
I agree.
I think that's the guy who you want with Cade.
I want a proven guy. I want a proven guy. I mean, Udoka is definitely the proven guy. I mean, he was second last time this coaching job last opened up. So, I mean, hopefully there's no sour apples there and they can rekindle the relationship.
Exactly. And I mean, I think if Ime were to come out and say he wants this job, I think this coaching search would be over pretty quick too.
100%.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean,
depends on if he wants the job though. If not, I think there could be a couple interesting names.
He's 100% going to be coaching one team next year.
Definitely.
But we don't know who that is yet. But I mean, more jobs can open up as the playoffs. You know, more play-in teams definitely didn't meet expectations. So
Yeah,
definitely
so
interesting to
we'll
watch.
we'll be bringing you that coverage too. Coaching changes. I mean, then we got free agency too coming up after that too. So we're wrapping things up here.
Yes, sir. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We got plenty of NBA content coming up, NFL, college sports. Just hit us up on socials, hit us up on YouTube. We'll be here, baby. See ya.